Hello and welcome to this webinar entitled How the Better Days Approach Can Help in a Crisis. This webinar features Craig Lewis of Better Days. I'm Oryx Cohen with the National Empowerment Center, and I'll be your moderator today. So one very common question we get is, will this webinar be recorded? And yes, it will be recorded, and the presentation will be available at our website, which is power2u.org. power2u.org. Please don't hesitate to ask questions at any time during the webinar, and at the close of Craig's presentation, there will be a question and answer session. So you're welcome to ask questions, post comments. Please use the question function to do this. And the questions will be taken in the order that they are received. So today's agenda, we're doing a little housekeeping. And then we're going to get to the presentation, and then there'll be the Q&A. So a little background on the National Empowerment Center. We're one of 3 peer-run technical assistance centers in mental health in the country. That's a national organization. And one of our areas of focus is crisis services. So part of what we do is we provide a lot of information and training on crisis and crisis alternatives. And so today Craig is going to talk about his approach, which is really a grassroots approach called Better Days, and how that applies to crisis situations. So here's the title. And to introduce Craig, Craig Lewis is an expert by experience, a psychiatric survivor, the author of Better Days, a mental health recovery workbook, a lifelong punk rocker, a fearless activist, a workshop trainer, and international speaker. Craig has survived a lifetime of struggle and has chosen to not allow his suffering to be wasted. Craig shares of his experiences, knowledge, and lessons learned in hopes of supporting others in living happier, healthier, and more satisfying lives. This is an ongoing journey, and Craig, like all of us, is a work in progress. So and also just wanted to say that I've enjoyed getting to know Craig the past few months, and I think you're really going to enjoy this webinar. So Craig, take it from here.
Thank you very much, Oryx. It is absolutely amazing to be here with you guys today. I want to let everyone know that I am at the library, and this is because I have a malfunctioning laptop, no Wi-Fi at my home, and a broken smartphone. So I am here at the library, where I've already been told that I have to talk very softly because the space that they allowed me to use is actually not permitted for this kind of electronic, work with the speaking and all that I'm doing here. So I'm actually being forced to use my own Better Days approach to not only really talk very softly, but also deal with the fact that if I don't really talk softly and contain things here in a situation that's not ideal, that it's not going to work out the way we want it to. So I hope everyone can hear me, and I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. Before we go forward, I just want to say quickly that my partner, Sherry Craig, and her last name is also my first name, is not here with us today, but as you see on the screen, it says that Sherry Craig is an elegant, kick-butt, open-minded, inquisitive spirit, thirsting for knowledge and eager to experience all the wonders the world has to offer. Sherry is an eclectic political activist, world traveler, and ambassador to a more harmonious way of living. You're going to hear a lot more from Sherry soon in the future, as we have many projects that we are working on. Next slide. What is Better Days? Better Days means that you honor that you are the expert on you. Each person knows best what works for them, what makes them feel comfortable, what makes them feel safe, what makes them feel secure. Each person also knows what makes them feel unsafe or makes them feel unwelcome or in a situation where they know they have to get out of or a person to get away from or whatever the situation may be because they know best. Each person is the expert on themselves. Better Days means that each person knows how to help themselves best. All of us know what situations, what environments, what places, communities, groups of people, wherever we go, whoever we associate with, we know what works for us. We know if we want to be there. We know if we don't feel comfortable. And because we know these things, we feel them in our gut, we feel them in our heart, in our brain. We know that we are the expert. We must help ourselves live the lives we want. We must invest ourselves in self-examination and introspection in order to really live the lives we want. And that means that each person can do that for themselves. There's no reason why a person cannot sit down and introspectively figure out how to live a better life. And better days means that if you choose to, and this is really a choice, if you choose to, you can figure out for yourself how to create and live the better life you want, deserve, and dream about. Let's face reality for a second. We all want to be happy. We all want to live a better life. We all deserve happiness. We deserve peace. We deserve success and satisfaction. And I know for me, I dream about it every day, and I've dreamt about it my entire life. I choose to do this. I choose to get up every day. I choose to do whatever I have to do to create the life I want. And Better Days is about supporting you, any of you, and all of you in doing the same thing. Next slide. Now, many of you might be aware that I've had some, let's call them ups and downs in the past 12 months. Yes, it's true. I have publicly melted down in pretty much every way that could be imagined. Publicly, privately, online, socially, in relationships, with professional contacts and work. You name it, it happened. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and have shame for what happened. I'm going to own it and take what I can from it and create something better. That is what Better Days is about, is creating something better from whatever your situation is and learning and growing and moving forward. These ongoing crises, as you see in front of you, occurred in plain view of many people. Many people saw this, many people witnessed it, some contributed, some helped, but it actually happened in reality. And here I am, a person who's had a lot of success with Better Days and the Workbook and having success working in the community, and I had a public meltdown in front of everybody. And that was it's just about the most devastating thing that could happen to a person who has invested themselves in recovery, who has invested themselves in creating a better life for themselves, and has worked so hard as I have, as have so many of us as well. When these things happen and our world comes crashing down, that is devastating. Nevertheless, life moves forward. We move on. We survive. We transcend. Next slide. Now, if you can see that beautiful image of Marilyn Monroe that says, I'm selfish, impatient, and a little insecure. I make mistakes. I'm out of control and at times hard to handle. Okay, but if you can handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best. I put that out there for everybody and everyone. That applies to me, it applies to all of you. Marilyn's right. So in the past year, I've lost countless supporters, friends, and professional relationships as a result of the numerous crises that I've experienced. Now, it's not just me who had these crises. Those in my life, my loved ones, my friends, professionals that I work with, colleagues, peers, people that experienced this with me in an absolutely outrageous way. I was not really aware of how things were going. It was a major thing that was happening with the medication withdrawal, and well, let's face it, it happened. I've lost countless friends throughout this, but I've also gained better friends, better supporters, and I've improved and I'm currently improving many meaningful relationships of all sorts. So much good is resulting from surviving working through and transcending numerous crises. This is reality. This is how we do it. This is better days. Next slide. You may wonder, who has the nerve and audacity to include a picture like this on a webinar of this sort? I do. I'm the guy doing that right now because this is why I'm qualified to give the webinar, because I've lived through publicly this madness, this devastating chaos. This was the life that I've lived for the past 12 months. So as a result, I just don't care anymore about what people think or my history or what happened, because I care much more about how to make things better, how to take my experience and build upon it and grow and create a better day and a better opportunity for all people to transcend their struggles, to have opportunities with which to have a better life. Because quite frankly, I've got nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose, I have everything to gain, and if I want to have the impact that I want to have, then I'm going to put myself out there as my true, genuine, honest self. So that's why that photo is right there. And by the way, I think it's a pretty awesome photo, so it makes me pretty happy to include it here. So thank you, National Empowerment Center, for going along with that. Next slide. Nervous breakup. We often talk about nervous breakdown. This person is having a breakdown. This person is having a crisis. This person is out of control. This person is in need of services. It goes on and on and on and on. It drives me, I'm going to say it, it drives me nuts. But let's talk about this for a second. When a person has a crisis, it's an opportunity for growth, change, development, introspection, and radical life improvement. That's why I'm calling it a nervous breakup. Now, I've never actually even said that I've had a nervous breakdown. I hear it all the time from other people describing their own experiences. But I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say nervous breakup because when I had this massive, ongoing, perpetual crisis over the past 12 months, yeah, there's many times when I thought I was gone. I was going to be gone forever, gone from this earth, never have what I want, love, happiness, peace, success, all of it. I thought I was facing the end. But what happened is, throughout that entire journey, I continued to believe that something better was out there. And so, I didn't have a breakdown, okay? I had a breakup. My brain had to dislodge. My brain had to purify and purge and cleanse itself from so much negativity and so much hurt and pain and all this stuff that happened, that actually it was growth. The crisis was growth. The crisis was improvement. The crisis was not so much a crisis as much as it was the most beautiful opportunity that I could have ever had in my entire life, and I took it. And that's why I'm speaking with you here today. Next slide. So we're going to talk about what happens or what occurs, what may occur in the brain of a person who has a well-developed skill set of coping skills, which is how I really felt I could identify it saying honestly, and the breaking down that can happen in a crisis that deteriorates one's wellness and peace, and the warning signs that could help one preserve what they have while reducing potential undesired impacts. The reality is, anyone at any time can have something happen that knocks them off their feet. It doesn't have to be just a person who has an identified mental health issue or trauma or addiction or whatever. We're talking about life here. It applies to all of us, and none of us are spared. So let's face the reality that these things happen. They happened to me, and I'm so happy I lived to tell. I'm so happy that I can live to tell and share this with all of you, because not only do I get to help myself by doing this, I get to help a whole other lot of people, and that's what I live for. So that's why I call it a nervous breakup. It actually was a crisis that turned into something beautiful. Next slide, please. So in the past year, I had this brain in my head, which told me how to live, how to be, how to deal with, how to react. And quite frankly, I did not really know what was going on, at least 100%, because when you go through a medication withdrawal of 30 years, after 30 years, some things are going to happen. certainly they happened to me. So I was confused. There's no question I was confused about certain things, about many things, how to be, how to react, how to interact, how to connect. I had this emotional blunting going on. All these things happened, and I had no idea what was happening with me. But I did know at some point that something wasn't right. I felt pain, emotional pain, my heart, my soul, my brain. This was happening to a degree of, I guess I could describe it as unconscionable depths. I was truly unaware of how extreme things had become. It hurt inside. I knew I was in pain. I was in such pain, this crisis, this chaos. The whole world that I lived, the whole world that I developed, all that I had created just stared me in the face and was collapsing. The fear, I had such fear. I'm sure people listening right now can relate. The fear, we work so hard. We apply ourselves. We do all the things we're supposed to do. We do our coping skills. We meet with our peer supporters, and we try to do all the right things to take care of ourselves. And there we are, facing the whole world caving in. That fear is something that I don't ever want to experience again. And I'm hoping through this webinar and through the Better Days process going forward that other people out there as well can know that that fear is really more like a catalyst, and if you can take it and turn it into something, then you can have what you want. But I digress. My brain, my reality, my perception was so skewed. I was impacted by what was going on around me. I was impacted by trauma. I was impacted by whatever I perceived as, hurtful or intentional or not. I took things in a certain way that really agitated and gave me a skewed perception on the world around me and the people around me. This was absolutely reality as I knew it. And the last thing I'll say for here, the experience that I had of a brain in crisis was a lack of awareness. I was relatively unaware until it really hit me in the face that I was truly, let's call it having my nervous breakup, if you will. We'll just leave that there because I'm pretty sure people listening know exactly what I'm talking about. Next slide, please. So 5 warning signs. What has gone on in the past year that may have given me some insight or some clues into the fact that I was, the term I like to use, although it might not be everyone's term, the preference is off the rails. I was absolutely off the rails. People started disappearing from my life. I didn't understand why. I thought I was right. I thought I was being a good person. I thought I was handling myself well. But no, people disappeared. Work communications, relationships with people that I work with became strained. In fact, there might be many people listening here who may have wondered, why is Craig so off? Or what's going on here? Well, maybe now you have a better idea. But this is a warning sign that I didn't really get until, I'm not going to say too late, but late enough that damage was already done. Thankfully, we're working on repairing these things. My loved ones, the people who were very close to me, were reacting to me with elevated intensity. Now, it's easy to just point the finger and say, well, everyone did this, everyone did that, they're wrong, but you know what? It really was necessary for me to look at myself and say, Craig, what are you doing that's contributing to this? And quite frankly, I found out a little bit too late, if you will, for the time being, that there was very good reason why people were reacting to me the way they were. My daily living habits were changing. I was not taking care of my needs. I wasn't eating as well. I wasn't, and I'm ashamed to say this, but I wasn't taking care of my beautiful cat son, Max the cat, as well, which is awful. And thankfully, that's getting better. And lastly, for a warning sign, impulsivity. I became so impulsive. It felt natural. It felt just. It felt like I was doing the right thing. I had no idea how off I was, but it happened. Thankfully, we can do things like this webinar and speak openly about these things. And maybe this is going to help someone else maybe transcend the struggles they face and have less of a a devastating impact as I did and those in my life who experienced that with me did. So I hope this will be a benefit. Thank you. Um, Next slide, please. You are absolutely the expert on you. There's no question about it. I am the expert on me. Every single person is the expert on you. Each one of us knows deep down inside what works for us, what doesn't, and how we want our lives to be. That is information that is, you can't get that from anyone else. Maybe a therapist or a peer supporter or a friend or a loved one can help you figure that out. But truly, you're the person who has to figure this out. And Better Days is about helping people do that. It's about introspection. It's about self-examination. I gotta tell you guys, the only reason why I'm alive today is because of Better Days. It almost killed me as well, and now it's given me a new life. So what can I say about that except I'm the expert on me, you're the expert on you, and I believe that to the day I die. The Better Days approach can be applied by each individual experiencing a crisis to preserve what they have and to maintain stability. There's no question. If you make the choice to help yourself, if you make the choice to step back for a second and figure out what you have to do to help yourself in a situation, you will have a positive result. It may not be immediate, but you can learn from your experiences and grow and make things better. All of us can tap into our inner self-expertise. We can protect ourselves against the system. Let's call it what it is. It's a system and it's broken in many ways. And a society, and the society is, well, if you look on the news right now, you know how things are. The system in our society, it misidentifies that being in a crisis is something, which just drives me up a wall, by the way, other than a legitimate reaction to a set of factors. Okay? And these factors are necessary for transcending the intensity of a crisis. We look at people, and I'm not sure if I screwed up my notes here for a second, but we look at people and we say, they're having a reaction. Well, there must be something wrong with them. Well, I say, they're having a reaction. There's got to be a reason why. Our society and the system, we, instead of considering all those factors that create and fuel the crisis, and separate that from being what they are, we also look at that person experiencing a crisis, and we say they're one and the same. How can a person be one and the same with the factors that contribute to having a crisis and experiencing what's going on inside them as they're having that experience? I call that, I'm not going to say it on this webinar, but you know what that is. We call that, if you're taking certified peer specialist training, we describe that as a reasonable response to an unreasonable situation. And it's funny because last year, when I had finally gone off the medication, the last psychiatrist I met with, by choice, and I laugh because I've had to meet with one since, not by choice, he told me that I appeared to be doing okay at that moment. And I said to him, "Oh yeah, doctor, you seem to be doing okay at this moment too." I said, "However, on your drive home today, you may witness something." Well, I was describing, I don't want to invoke something here, but I was just suggesting he could experience a car accident or see something. You can read on the screen here. But I said, if you see something really shocking and traumatizing, remember that how you feel in that moment is how each person who's come into your office at one point or another has been told that reaction, that intense reaction, is what's wrong with them. I said, remember that when they come into your office, it's exactly what's going on. They've just been labeled as a problem because you have an MD. You're just a human being, have a reaction. That's normal, whatever normal is. I call that you know what. Okay, now this is the basic. It's a basic rundown on being the expert on you, and being the expert on me, you being the expert on you, all of us being the expert on all of us means that we can help ourselves. We can absolutely choose to create a better life for ourselves. Now, this webinar is about how the Better Days approach is helpful in crisis. Well, and if Oryx, you could please flip the slide, you're going to see that this picture of this beautiful cat here, Max the cat. Um, there we go. Um, and it's my cute little cat friend. This is Big Mouth. I caught him that every morning he yawns when he wakes up, and I take a picture. But if you read the screen, um, throughout this year of madness and crisis and recovery, myself and my partner who I work with on Better Days, Sherry, we've actually written a brand new Better Days workbook, which has really been developed out of this madness. How did I stay alive? I don't know. I guess I believed in something better. But we put our heart and soul into this. We put our heart and soul into figuring out how to take what the situation was to create something better. So there's my beautiful little cat son, Max the cat. I call him the Max Cod of Recovery. And because of Max and his support, we're going to share with you a brand new worksheet and passage from the upcoming Better Days workbook. And it's with great honor and pride that we can do this. Next slide, please. Okay. This is how Better Days works. If you've seen the book, if you've looked it up, you have an idea. So these are brand new pages from the brand new book. And I would just also say here that it took a lifetime to get to the point of beginning to get better. It took 10 years to get to this point now. Last year, when all my life and world came crashing down, I never thought I was ever going to have anything ever again. I never thought I was going to be happy or be satisfied or feel happy or feel loved and all these things that we all want. So this new workbook is the result of working through all of that. And so I'm so excited and ready to share this with all of you, and I'm even more excited for you to see the book in a few months. This passage is called Addressing Subconscious Beliefs. A very wise woman once said that we must love, respect, and value ourselves. That wise woman is the co-author of this workbook. She said these words to me, the creator of the Better Days model. After so many years of being abused, traumatized, disrespected, and abandoned, I learned to believe that I was unworthy of being happy, of being loved, and of living a life of quality. These subconscious beliefs nearly made the writing of this book impossible. I don't even want to expand upon what that means right here. Today I know I am worthy and deserving of all things good, and so are you. And if you don't believe that, then it's time to take a moment and take a breath and close your eyes and realize and recognize that you do 100% deserve all things good, that you're worthy of a better life, and that you can absolutely create that for yourself. There's no question. So please know that. This is real. It's reality, and it's real life. Next slide, please. Here's the worksheet. What are subconscious beliefs and why are they important to address? Well, I'm going to answer that for myself here. And certainly when we have the question and answer session, people please, if you choose to, refer back to this slide and answer those questions as well with me on the webinar. So what are the subconscious beliefs and why are they important to address? Well, I've thought a lot of things about myself for a very long time. Things that were taught to me, things that I experienced, things that trauma and poverty and stress and violence taught me. Well, and that taught me that I wasn't worthy of good things. It taught me that I wasn't worthy of love and happiness and nice things and success. It's important for me to address that, and perhaps for you as well. Because until I figured that out, that I was truly worthy, that I was worthy of happiness and love and success and all these beautiful things, that I wasn't going to have what I wanted. That's why I've had to begin to doing this process to address these thoughts I had about myself and how to create the better life I wanted. That is why it's so important to address. Question 2. Complete the sentence. I don't think I'm very good at. It's funny because I write the book, but sometimes I can't even answer my own questions, which is I guess says a lot about recovery and this process. I don't think I'm very good at. Well, honestly, currently, I'm not very good at connecting with people and listening to them. You think I would after having all the good things happen with better days, but quite frankly, I've lost some of my edge with the withdrawal, and it's something I've had to learn how to do. So, one way I can learn to improve myself would be by taking a step back, thinking about what I have to do to be a better person, to be a better communicator, to be more empathetic, to be more caring. I really have to really focus on listening and just being there and being in the moment, being present. So that's what I have to work on there. List 3 positive things I like or know about myself. Well, it's funny, right? Here I am, like live on the air, if you will, and ask this question. I can't even answer it right now. Okay, so I'm going to try. Well, I really have good intentions. I like that about myself. I really want to be the best I can be. I really intend to do all these good things, to be the best person I can be. But intentions aren't enough. So what I also have to do, and another thing I like about myself, is to take those intentions and to try to turn them into action. And actions aren't words, they're actions. So I'm working on that. I like that I can do that. I like that I can say to all of you that that's what I have to do. So we'll see what happens, but I believe that that's a positive thing about me that I can do and I can build upon. And the third thing, well, you know what? I like that I get a good heart. I like that I'm honest. I like that I'm not afraid to speak up. I like that I'm not afraid to do what's right. And I think that's something that I can honestly say I have a lot of pride on and about myself or how I want to live. So those are 3 things that I like about myself. And I hope that when we have the Q&A later that people can share what they like about themselves. Yes, so the next slide, please. The bottom line. What's the bottom line? The bottom line is this. The bottom line is that better days means that most of us know what escalates us, what soothes us, and how we must respect and honor ourselves and our self-expertise so that we can preserve what we have. When we apply this knowledge to how we live our daily lives, we will have better results when reality hits. There's no question. When we apply this knowledge and how we convey to others what our needs are, when those around us can understand that we often know best in how to preserve what we have and to be respected for it, this is better days. You can do this. All of you, every single person listening, can do that for themselves. You know who you are. You don't need someone else to tell you what's wrong with you, because quite frankly, there's nothing wrong with you. You're a human being, as we all are, reacting to the world around us. At some point, we gotta trust ourselves and say, what works for me? How do I get my needs met? How do I feel safe? How do I feel secure? What's gonna make me better? Right there and then, that's solid gold. I like to say it's solid gold in your fuel tank. When your gas tank, of your belly, if you will, of your soul is full of solid gold, if you will, work with me here, then you're going to have a solid gold life. It does not matter what's happened up to that point. It matters what you do in that moment. That is the bottom line. That is better days. Next slide, please. And just to say again, what works for you? What makes you feel comfortable? What makes you feel cared about? What makes you feel safe? What helps you feel like your needs are being met? What makes you feel like you are going to be okay in any situation? That is introspection 101. You know best. And then on the same hand, what doesn't work for you? You know very well what those things are. You know when you walk in a room you don't feel good. You know when you see someone they don't make you feel comfortable. You know when you see an experience or you're in an environment that makes you feel, I guess the word would be don't know, affected, if you will, impacted. You know that. You know that clearly. That's your gut speaking. It's your heart and soul saying to you, I know that this doesn't work for me. Okay? When you respect that, you take steps to protect yourself and preserve what you got, you're going to have a better day. When you ask yourself, I say, Craig, how would my life be if I did more of what works for me and less of what didn't work? You know what? It'd be awesome. I can go out on a limb here and say it already is awesome, but I want it to be a lot more awesome. I want to have happiness and peace and love and stability and success, all sorts of wonderful things. And if I want it, I gotta go get it. It says here, I live this. I try to live this every moment. To ask myself, what are some ideas that I have about how I can help myself live a happier, healthier, more satisfying life? What are those things? Well, drink more water, get more sleep, take space, play with my cat, exercise, meditate, pray, peer support, natural treatments, whatever kind of stuff you do that works for you. Do it. You know best. You're the expert on you. And really the last question here is, why would we do all of this? Why would we take the steps to examine ourselves? Why would we go through this process to kind of dig up within ourselves what works, what doesn't feel good, how to make things better? Because it's important. If that's important to you, and you want to have a better life, you want to be happier, well, you already have decided that's what you want to do. Just say it out loud. I choose to make my life better. You already start to feel better. If you don't believe me, try it. Next slide, please. Some of you who are around my age might remember on TV, the Hair Club for Men. Thankfully, I have a nice head of hair. It's one of the beautiful gifts I've been given by my family. If you know my story, then you know that's a funny thing to say, but it's true. So Cy Sperling, he said, remember, I'm not only the Hair Club president, I'm also a client. You wonder why that might be written here, why I might say that. The reality is, I didn't write this book, okay? I didn't write Better Days, it wrote me, and here I am. I didn't choose recovery. Recovery chose me, and here I am. I certainly didn't ask to be a patient or a client, yet here I am. Now, I pleaded and begged for 30 years. 30 years, I said, I don't want to be in treatment. I don't need this treatment. I don't need this. I don't want this to happen, all this trauma and everything that happened. I just wanted to be left alone to be me, to be happy, to be well, and to be successful. And no matter what has happened, and in spite or despite of everything, here I am. And yes, by whatever means necessary, I'm here. And I hope for all of you, by whatever means necessary, you will put your foot down or do whatever you have to do and say, here I am as well. And I refuse, and I hope you refuse, to never allow your suffering to be wasted. What happened to you, happened. What are you going to do with it? Create, build, develop, live, love, prosper. It's yours to have. You're the expert. You can do it. Next slide, please. Now, I was writing this PowerPoint, and I admit that I could be a little bit, intense. And I try to have fun with the reality of who I am. I'm not going to hide the fact of who I am. I'm intense. I'm a little over the top. I'm definitely someone who's going to say what he has to say and speak out. And I hope you all will do the same. So I say this because it's funny, but it's really not, but it is. That since 1 year from October 2016, going back 1 year, it has been the Better Days in Crisis World Tour. I swear, I should have shirts made. Better Days in Crisis World Tour, October 2015 to 2016. I have been, along with my partner Sherry, in Better Days all around the world. It's been awesome, of course, or meeting people, connecting, and really doing some awesome work. It's also been absolute madness. I admit it. I don't know how anybody could just be around me during some of this time. I've not been who I want to be. That's what happens sometimes. Life happens, and there's no question that I was in crisis. Better Days was in crisis as well. But you see on your screen, we've been to these wild places, and you know what? The world is out there. The world, the universe, whatever you want, believe, and think about, it wants you to be happy. It wants you to have success. There's no way I got to Budapest and Prague and Paris and Helsinki and all these places without having a purpose to make something better of my life and to help others do the same. So yes, it's been the Better Days in Crisis World Tour. I'm hoping this October, this month, that the crisis part will go away. I think it will. But I also think that good things are coming, and we're building, creating a better life, and that is what we're doing. So I say Better Days in Crisis World Tour in jest, but it's actually the absolute truth of what has happened. Next slide, please. There's just an image of the German translation of Better Days. So if you speak German, please check it out. Next slide. This is the French translation. It's going to be available very soon. If you speak French, please check it out. And the next slide says the Finnish and Spanish translations are available soon. I cannot even try to say the Finnish, but I'll try the Spanish. Mejores días, un libro de trabajo para la recuperación de salud mental. Both of those books will be available soon, and I'm really looking forward to that. The next slide, please. If you can see, I'm not going to read through all of this, but when you come back later and look at the webinar, this is information about the workshops that Sherry and I offer. I hope you'll read through it, learn about what we do, what we want to do, and how we make it happen. We really want to connect with people around the world. We want to connect and have an impact and make a difference. So please read through the next few slides, and you'll see that we have quite a lot to offer, and we want to bring it to your community, to your program, your agency, your center, internationally. And we have no qualms about traveling the world doing that. So please get in touch. The next page, please. It's just a little flyer about the Better Days Workbook. You can check that out at your leisure. And the following slide is for our peer support that we offer, which, as you know, or as you may not know, we're not out of the system. You know what? I'm not going to claim that I am. I'm not. I'm out of the system. I don't like the system very much, and I'm not going to just say different. So we read through this, see what we think. We actually truly want to have a positive impact, and this is how we're doing it. So for the people that we speak with in private about radical peer support, I think that that's some pretty good experiences. I hope they have, and I hope that we'll have more people to speak with soon and really have a positive impact as we live it, and we love it, and we believe it. Next slide, please. You'll see that just a link to check out the workbook. You can check it out at your leisure. And next slide. You just put up some of our little information here, business cards, or you can just flip through here. Thought it was nice to share. There's my picture, Sherry's picture. And the next page is our contact information. So you can contact me, you can contact Sherry, and if you're in France and Quebec, other French-speaking places, please contact Alain. He's our guy in France. There's our phone number and our website. And just, oh, I can't believe I'm 2 minutes to the amount of time we planned. And so you'll just see this, oh yeah, Oryx, please go ahead to the next slide, the last slide. It says Better Ways for Better Days. So I'm just going to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to the National Empowerment Center, to every person out there who's dedicated to living a better life and helping those do the same. You matter. There truly are better ways for better days. Sherry and I are invested in this work we're doing. We're invested in making our communities a better place, or our world a better place, helping people live happier, healthier, and more satisfying lives. This is what we do. This is who we are. And we truly want to have this impact. So I thank you all for the work you do. I thank all the people out there listening. I thank the National Empowerment Center. I thank every single person who is involved in the recovery community in any way. And it doesn't matter to me if we get along well or we don't, we have differences of opinion, or we have different philosophies. If you're doing something to try to make the world a better place, then I respect it. I take nothing personally. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep trying your best. Keep fighting the good fight. When we work together, we have success. And I will partner in better days, and Sharon and I will partner with anybody who wants to work and do good things. We don't care about anything that we disagree about. Let's focus on what we agree upon, and let's make some things happen. We are here to help ourselves live better lives, help all of you live better lives. We're all in this together. You matter. You all matter. I believe in you all. I believe in me. I believe in Sherry. I believe in all the people listening. I believe in Max the Cat. And I just hope and pray that you will always have better days. Well, thank you so much. And I so look forward to connecting with all of you. And I know we have about 45 minutes to take questions, so please, I am here and I'm ready and I'm waiting. Gratitude for all. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Craig. Um, that was a wonderful presentation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have a bit of a quiet audience today. Just want to remind you that there is, oh, here's some here are some questions coming in. Thank you for using the question function. We got a thank you from somebody, which is great.
Thank you to them.
And,
Thank you.
and then the first question, what is the role of other people in helping you have better days?
I guess the role. Thank you for that question. I really appreciate it. Um, I think we have to listen and um, accept that when things happen, when there's crises, etc., that it's not personal. I think that's the number one thing we can do is not take things personally because it's not personal. When someone's having a crisis, when someone's impacted by something that's traumatizing for them, it's not about you when they're reacting. It's they're reacting and you're there. And I think the thing that I have to do, both for my loved ones and those I work with and those around me, but what I need for myself as well, to know that those reactions that I have or people have, it's not personal. And when I can identify and accept and embrace that it's not personal, then I can move through it with that person, or that person can move through it with me. We can get on with our day.
Yeah, I think Better Days is very similar to approaches that I'm involved with, like emotional CPR and intentional peer support and things like that. RAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan. I think that a lot of similar concepts. I really like that Better Days is completely grassroots. And would you agree, Craig, that it's it's not so much about other people telling you what to do, but just being there and being accepting?
Being accepting and not taking things personally and going through the process with them and really helping people and supporting them and figuring out for themselves what works for them. Because let's face reality.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's just face the fact that
That can be a foreign concept to a lot of people who haven't been exposed to this, because we're fed a lot of things in our society that tell us that we have to be very active and we have to fix people, and that if someone's going through a hard time, they need to see a professional, they need to be told what to do. And what you're saying is that we need to trust that people have their own inner wisdom, right? And that
yeah,
and that can be a really hard thing for other people to do, to let go a little bit. Just let go and be there for someone. Not
exactly.
yeah. So there is another question that came in. Can you give more specific suggestions for how to have better days? I assume there are additional ideas in your workbook.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for that question. the reality is that I can give all the suggestions in the world to another person and how to figure out for themselves what works for them, but I can't really tell anybody what works for them. So the way Better Days works is that you have to ask yourself, what is it that works for you? So if you want to have a better day, you want to have a better life, a better relationship, a better anything, you got to figure out what does that mean? Like, what does a better day look like to you? How does your happy life look like? What does it look like to you if you didn't have the disruptions that come up in your daily life that get you off course? What are those things? What are the things that get you off course? What are the things that help you stay on course? What are the things that bring about progress? And then what are the things that bring you down? That's for each person to figure out. I can I can speak to you here and say that that's what you can do. And if we were talking, more directly, we can have a more intense or in-depth dialogue. But each person's got to figure that out. But like Oric said a minute ago, we're often not even given the opportunity, or we're not encouraged or nurtured to have that process go on. So the fact that the person just asked this question is beautiful, and I appreciate it very much because it shows that people want to do this. It shows that we all want to have a better life. And the way to do it is ask those questions. Now, I asked that person who asked that question of me to ask that question of themselves. What do you have to do to have a better day? What does a better life look like to you? What works for you? What brings you happiness and peace and success? And what doesn't? Because you want to have more of the good, or what brings you what you want, and less of what brings you down. When you figure that out, and you figure out some things you can do to make that happen, because you already know why, because you want it, then you're going to have it. It's a process, but you can do it. Anyone can do it. I believe in you. I believe in all of you. So thank you for that question. And
Yeah.
if you,
Well,
the
correct.
person can reach out more. Yes,
Um, just to follow up on that question, um, so the workbook provides a framework, correct, for so that it's a pencil and paper method, um,
exactly.
so that people can start to figure this stuff out for themselves.
Right.
Now, can you speak a little bit to the power of just writing this stuff out and documenting that and putting it on paper?
Yes, and I'm going to give you an example because I was out last night. I took a little break from working and I went out to a cafe in my neighborhood. And I had not been there for a while because I've not had a lot of money to go out. So I went out, and the person who was working there said, "Oh, I haven't seen you in so long. It's good to see you." He was happy to see me, and you know what I said? I said, "Oh, well, I haven't come out because I've been broke." I was like, then it hit me. I was like, "My goodness, Craig, you just did exactly what you don't want to be doing. You just did the opposite of what brings you what you want." So I then sat down and I got out my paper. I just wrote some things down. I said, "This is what I wrote. I wrote to myself. I said, this is how you use the workbook. This is just me doing it by hand, if you will." I said, when someone enthusiastically greets me after an absence, I should respond positively. I'm going to have a better life, a better day if I say, hey, it's great to see you too. I've been busy. I've been working and living. I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to be here. I look forward to coming back soon. What I did instead was I said something negative. That doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help me. It doesn't make my life better. It actually makes me live something that I don't want to be living, this negative life, this being broke. I don't want that. So I wrote down, I said, I need to not say things that are negative. Nothing about money or lack of, and here I am talking about here on the webinar. It's funny, but we're human beings here. So nothing about money. Anything that's positive, that's gracious, and being present. And so I immediately sat down and wrote that down. I said, Craig, you need to learn. I said, buddy, to myself, I said, buddy, you need to learn to make things better. It doesn't matter if you're having success with this book or whatever you're doing. You got to do it for yourself. So to expand to answer that question you just asked, that's what I did. I had to do that work for myself. And the workbook is just like that. It's a passage about whatever topics. One topic is called biting your tongue. Another topic is called our lives have value. Um, so, one topic is called sometimes we struggle. These are all things that have been lived experience, lived through with me, and that thankfully, people around the world, and thousands of people are using the book and it's having a positive impact. So someone's getting something out of it, which is good. And I also have to do with this myself every day to have the better life. So I just gave you an example of how I would use the book, but I just used it by writing down some thoughts and ideas of how to be better. That's what I did. So it's really what I did here, what I shared with you, is the evidence that it's real, because that's what I did. And you know what? I learned a lot from that. I know going forward how to do things a little bit better, to have what I want, and how to get it. So I hope that's a good answer. I think it is, but that's the truth. That's the truth. That's what happened.
Thanks, Craig. So there's another question that came in. Hey, Craig, I believe in you. Punk's not dead. When is the new book coming out? Obadiah.
Obadiah. Oh, see, Obadiah. Hi, Obadiah. He's asking about the other book we have, You're Crazy. This is awesome, by the way. Thanks, Obadiah. Um, well, I just need to finish up a few things, and I'm hoping within a couple months. And I really appreciate you asking that question. We'll be in touch soon. The You're Crazy book series is a anthology of people from the punk rock scene. If you saw my picture here on the webinar, you know I'm a punk rocker. I'm a nice one, though. I love cats and all these good things. But um, it's the first volume has 27 first-hand accounts of people from the punk scene, or whatever fringe element of the punk scene from around the world, sharing their lived experience, dealing with mental health struggle, addiction, and trauma. And volume 2 is going to be the same, with about 25 more stories, and volume 3 after that. So thanks for the reminder, Obadiah, and you'll be hearing from me soon. And I hope to see you in Arizona very soon as well. Thank you.
Okay, so there's another comment. Thank you so much for such a heartfelt presentation. What are some skill development that helps providers not take it personal in the midst of it all?
um, you know, I think we have to be human. Really, I mean, we're all human beings. I mean, if a person is in your office and they're having an issue, if you will, or a situation, I think so many providers are taught to just not react, to just, not have a response, just to not take it, not feel that emotion. The first therapist I had in my adult life, 10 years ago, who really changed, her name was Allison. She changed my life. I wouldn't be here without her. I would sit there and talk about these things, and sometimes, and I don't want to out her, but like sometimes I could see in her eyes that she was so deeply affected by what I was saying. And you know what? That made a massive difference. So I know that I don't know the role this person has who's asking this question, if they're a peer supporter or a social worker, or what they may be in their role. But the reality is, to not take things personally is perhaps to connect with the person in a way. Of course, I understand boundaries have to be respected, however you have to do that. But if the person sitting in your office knows that you're a human being, you actually care about what's happening, and maybe you can give them something that lets them know that's true, well, you're going to cut through all of you know what and really get down to business. And that person's going to trust you, I think, I hope, much more quickly and develop a positive, healthy working relationship where good things happen instead of what happens so often of just this provider who just doesn't engage because they're taught not to, or they can't, or they don't, whatever. And the person senses that. People who come to therapy or to go meet with a peer supporter or a doctor, they can tell right away if the person they're meeting with isn't invested. They can tell right away. And if that's the experience that providers are having with people coming in their office and not wanting to engage, well, certainly we can look at the person and say, well, that's the person's problem. They're coming here because they have problems. Or maybe they're there and they don't realize they want to get help, or they don't realize they can do something about themselves or their situation. Maybe if the provider can engage with them in a way that lets that person know that they're there to help, that they're there to be supportive, to make a difference. And the last thing I'll say about that is when I work as a peer supporter, or however I work with people, I like to really cut it all that, right from the start and say, listen, I want you to know why I do my job. I got into this kind of work because I care about helping people make a better life for themselves. I do this work because I want to see the world become a better place. I feel better about my life. I succeed in life. I feel great about life when I help someone else do the same. I do this work because I want to see a difference in the world. You come to my office, I'm going to do my very best to help you. So if you will work with me and accept that I'm here to do something good because I love helping people. I love seeing people live better lives. I love helping people transcend their struggles. Then let's partner here and see what we can make happen. And just get to work. And that's I've had that I've had success with that so many times, again and again and again. With and I worked at this company in Boston where I worked at a program where we worked with people who were very inappropriately labeled as difficult to engage with. Well, you know what? That wasn't my experience. It's the most fun I've ever had working on a job, working with people who were difficult to engage with. And you know what? I saw so many amazing, beautiful things happen with people who were told they couldn't get better that I can tell you right now, I'm one of those people as well, and I'm living it. So that's what I do, and that's what works. So thank you so much for that question, and I truly hope that whoever's asked that will reach out to me in the future and talk more with me about that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. A follow-up to that, Craig. Have you found that providers have been able to put the workbook to good use?
Absolutely. Not that I want people to go on Amazon to get the book because Amazon is, a big corporation, if you know what I'm saying. But there's like 52 people, many of whom providers, social workers, therapists, peer supporters, group leaders, psychiatrists even, saying that they love the book, that they're using it with their whatever clients or whomever in group support, a peer support group, one-on-one. And you know what? They're saying the same thing again and again and again, that people are responding. It's making a difference. Now, please go look the book up on Amazon and see for yourself. It's quite absurd, if you ask me, to be honest with you, that I have a psychiatrist, praising a book that was created while I was drugged on medications that made me sick. But I digress. Thanks to people who see the value in my work, or not just my work, and the work that we're doing in general as a community. So yes, there's a lot of positive response, more so than I could ever dreamed of, and I'm grateful for it. And I really, really support people, and not for my benefit, for the people you work with benefit, and the people who provide the services or the support or the counseling to seek out for themselves that this is a tool that people are saying is really quite effective. It was developed out of a life of chaos. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm barely educated, formally, but I know a couple things. I figured out a couple things, and somehow the book's having success and people are benefiting. So I really, really ask people if they have interest to seek that out, or look me up and talk to me about it, or whatever works. But yeah, thank goodness for all things that are happening in this world, because it resulted in this.
Please put the book to use. And there's another question. Thank you. I really appreciate your perspective and the idea that remembering that we will have better days can really help us get through difficult days. Sounds like hope and self-determination are very important.
Thank you so much. I believe in you. I support you, and it's real. What you just wrote, what you said, is reality. And keep up the fight. Keep doing what you're doing. It gets better, one day at a time, one moment at a time. You can do it. Thank you.
You've already addressed this question. It's a similar question. How have conventional mental health organizations responded to this framework? And you said positively.
Positively.
Let's
Definitely.
another question. Would you agree then that the most important thing is to help the most important thing to help a person is to help them learn how to connect with their hopes and dreams?
Yes. Yes. And you know how you do that? You respect them by helping them figure out what works for them. I give this example. I did a Better Days workshop through the Department of Mental Health in Massachusetts, at a hospital, a state hospital, and I gave the example to the people there. It was mostly clinicians and mental health workers, some peer specialists. I give the example that I said, if you have a person on your unit, if you will, who you said to them, oh, what's going to help you make your life better? What's going to help you deal with your struggles? And I said, well, what if they said to you, well, I think that if I will run around this building like 30 times as fast as I can, that's going to make me feel, I think exercise is going to make me feel better. I say, okay, Mr. X, if you will. I think that's a good idea, honestly, like running around this building 30 times in a row as fast as you can, you're running a risk of falling or getting dehydrated or something happening. You could trip. So I want you to take into consideration that could happen. But also, I love the fact that you've identified something that works for you. So you think it's going to help you make a difference? to run around this building 30 times to cope with your struggles, maybe it's going to result in less crisis or more success. Let's call it more success and less crisis. Then, okay, be safe, be careful, be really like mindful of yourself, and go for it. I'm not sure you're going to make it 30 times, but I believe that you're going to have a really good experience in learning about yourself and how to help yourself. So when you do this, and you see that, wow, you have a lot of success with getting out some of that energy, some of that angst, some of that stress. Okay, next time, let's figure out how you can do this without running the risk of falling or getting dehydrated or tripping and hurting yourself. How about you figure out, well, I can do it 10 times, and that's going to be really successful for me. Or I can come up with an alternative way to do it that's going to be successful that doesn't run the risk of getting hurt. But at the same time, I honor that person, I honor you, and figuring out what works for you and how to make this happen. You know best. That person knew. They identified for themselves that going for a run, maybe 30 times is a bit excessive, but who am I to tell them? I'm here to say, well, that sounds like a good plan. You know that works for you. You came up with that for yourself. Let's make sure that it's safe and effective, and you have the best results. And moving forward, let's see how we can tweak it so you have even better results going forward, have a better success, a better life.
Great. So thank you for all the questions. These are really good questions. And here's another good one, Craig. When living through your crisis, what made you believe that your crisis would one day be lived through and not get worse?
Well, um, yeah, so I don't know how to, I guess, I worked so hard to get to where I was. And when things started to cave in last year, it was happening so quickly and I wasn't aware of it. And I I don't know, I made a decision. I made a lot of decisions, and one decision I made was that I was never again going to tolerate self-harm. That no matter how bad I felt, that I was not going to do something to hurt myself. Um, and so I had to really decide that if I wanted to have a better life, if I wanted to transcend, find that hope, find that belief, one of the first things I had to do was take away, and I don't even want to say it here, but take away the option that I could, I don't want to say easily, but not have to continue to face my life. So I made that decision, and I've been firm with it. Like I couldn't even hit myself with a piece of paper. Additionally, my cat, Max the cat, he's a trauma survivor. I adopted him when, I things were a little more financially stable. He became my best little furry friend. He is attached to me, and I'm attached to him. I love him. I mean, basically, I'm his cat dad. He's my cat's son. And I could not, like, I thought about it a lot. Like, well, what would happen to him? Well, I just couldn't do that to him. I had to find a way. He needs me. I took responsibility for him, to love him, to be his cat dad. And that's what I had to do. But additionally, better days, I created this project. You know how many times I've thought about just going out in a big blaze of, fury to say like, well, screw the world, screw everybody who doesn't support me, and screw everybody. I said I couldn't do that. As much as I thought about it sometimes, that wasn't going to produce what I wanted. It wasn't going to make me better. It wasn't going to make me feel like I could make a better life for myself. So that was another option gone that I took away from myself. And the last thing, well, a couple other things. One, I was not going to give anyone in the world the satisfaction of me not succeeding, no matter what had happened, no matter how unfair or unjust, or even if I contributed to myself, even if I brought about my own crisis for whatever choices I made, I was not going to let the world or the negative powers in this world win. I was going to succeed. I had to. And lastly, I should say, I deserve to be happy. I deserve to have that better life. And lastly, you know what? I have a person who I work on this project with, and I couldn't do that to her. I honestly, no matter how out of control things may have been with me, and many people who know me, who have known about what's going on, they've seen it. It's been obvious. It's been open. It's been out there. I could not do that. I could not hurt these people any more than they've been hurt. And maybe you call that guilt. I call it responsibility. I had a responsibility to see things through, to have a better life. And I made that decision, and I did whatever I had to do to get to this point. And here we are. So I don't know if I can give even a better answer than that, because I don't even know if that's a really good answer. But it's the truth, and I don't know what else to say. But thank you so much for that question.
Okay, so they keep coming in, which is great. One suggestion I have that work for me is the use of mindfulness and meditation practices, realizing that I just need to get through one moment at a time and remember that better moments will come.
Absolutely. As Sherry Craig says, Sherry says that you got to be in the moment. You got to be present. She says, you know, what can you do with what you have? And what this person just their comment is very similar. In that moment, you got to decide to be in that moment, to get through it, and to work toward that better life. And you know what? Sherry's right, and the person who asked that wonderful, made that wonderful comment is right as well. So thank you for reminding me about that, because I have to work on that more. So thank you so much. Meditation is crucial. And actually, when I leave the library today, I'm actually going to go to our little secret garden paradise near where I live in Salem, and go spend some time meditating there with the skunks and the bunnies and the birds and the bees and the flowers. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, so another question, can this workbook be used in a group setting?
Yes, it actually was developed as a peer support group when I first went to school in 2006 to become a peer specialist. And I had an internship, and I had to propose as something to offer at the program I was doing the internship at, and that was a support group. So I proposed this Better Days group, and I did it, and people came, and that was the beginning. And every page in the book that's available now was written and developed for peer support group form. And it's actually, I think there's got to be at least 100 or more Better Days support groups in the country, in Canada, the UK, I think Finland maybe. And it's supposed to go happen in France. The book's about to be published in France. It's going to be all over France as well. Yeah, it's a peer support group format, and we're working on, Sherry and I are working on a facilitator's guide for the support group, but additionally, we're working with Klein, Padron and Associates and developing other ways to successfully bring the curriculum to trainings and to train people to be facilitators in the model as well. So we're really looking forward to that as well. So absolutely, peer support group form, interpersonally, with a peer supporter, with a therapist, with a friend, with a clergy member, with an educator. But I've also heard of people using it with their kids, like to teach your kids like emotional, like regulation, to like how to deal with like parental stress and road rage and like all this stuff. So it's pretty versatile, and yeah. So please, and if that person has any more questions about that, please have them reach out to me. Please do.
Okay, and so there's another question. I spend time with peers whose lives are too much framed by disability and system set limitations. Some seem to have become too comfortable with the inertia and with the comfort of knowing their confines and not taking risks. What are some of the most persuasive things you have done to help others have a different vision for themselves, to live more assertively, etc.?
This is funny you asked this question because it's like so true to my core. So I'm just going to say it, and then it might be, because an issue for some people, I'm going to say this, but it's the reality. So I'm going to say it. Basically, treat the people you're talking to as if you're on their level. If someone's telling me that they think they can't do this, or that they can't make this happen, or it's not going to work, or that they're just giving up, I'll actually say to someone, if it feels comfortable and safe to do so, I'll say something like, And of course, if you're working for an agency, you have to be more careful. But I'm independent, and so I can say these things, and you can take from it what you can, and you can contact me later for more conversation if you like. But I just say to somebody, listen, like you have an opportunity here to make your life better. Do you want to talk about all the bad things? By the way, bad and good are just values that we give things, so it's more like life experience and lessons learned if you take them. Like, do you want to learn from the situation, make things better, or are you content being unhappy? Are you content with just having your life be the way it is? Because if it is, don't waste my time. Like, you want to make things better? Let's talk about making things better. You don't like how things are? Well, let's talk about making things how you want them to be. But just don't sit here like and choose to be stuck. Because if you choose to be stuck, and I respect that someone's wherever they're at, but I also let them know, if you want to make things better, I'm right here. If you want to work on some stuff, let's talk about it. If you want to improve your life, tell me what you want to improve upon, and let's talk about how to make that happen. And frankly, I find again and again that frank, honest, genuine approach makes a huge difference. So I support that person who asked that question, and anyone asking those kind of questions to do that. But also, you got to do it in a way that protects your job. You got to protect your job. Let's face reality here. If you're working for an agency or whomever, you have to do things a certain way, but that's okay for you to do. But you can also be a human being, and you can speak and talk and connect with people in a certain way that lets them know that you're in their corner, that lets them know that you can help them if they choose to access that. So, it's kind of walking a fine line, but you can do it, and I support you on that.
Okay, so next question is how would we go about getting the workbook?
Please email me at betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com. betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com, and we can work that out. And if you look through the webinar, you'll see there's a slide there where we do awesome, like huge discounts. If you work for an agency or a company or whomever, contact us and ask us, because I'm certain that we'll find a way to work with you. Additionally, for anyone interested in having us come out and do a workshop, we can provide like a ridiculous amount of letters of recommendation and evaluations and all this good stuff. So please, this is what we do. We are independent. We're doing things grassroots, and we will work with people. So if they want what we have to offer, which I'm pretty sure most people do in some way or another, then contact us, because we will find a way to make it happen. We are easy to work with, even if it may not have appeared so much in the past year. It's true. So reach out, and I'm sure we're going to make something happen.
Can you say your email address one more time?
It's betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com. One word, like the book Better Days Recovery @gmail.com. And if you go back to the webinar, you'll see we have Sherry's email address as well, and also our 800 number. You can call us as well. Definitely. Perfect. Yeah, I see that you posted that there, Oryx. Thank you.
Okay, so next question. Can you draw on your past crises to help you navigate a current crisis? Does this approach use pre-planning or
Sorry, say it again.
does this approach use pre-planning to prepare yourself for a crisis in the same way as, say, RAP or other approaches to crisis management?
Yeah, yes, I would. Yes, absolutely. Every experience is a learning opportunity. Every crisis is an opportunity to learn a lesson. We have to choose and decide and actively accept the lesson learned or taught. When a person, and I have to do this, like if I can identify during a crisis, a meltdown or whatever, that I can learn from this, because if I look at my life, every time it's happened, I've gotten through it. So if anyone's listening to this right now, which I see there's 32 people at least, then you've gone through it too. And we all know what it feels like to have things cave in. So when things cave in, how do you make it better more quickly? Well, you have to say to yourself, well, I say, Craig, every time things have caved in, you've gone through it. So if that's a fact, which it is, because I'm sitting here breathing and talking with you right now, what do I have to do to take this experience and learn from it so I can move forward more quickly and have my life more like what I want. Even if I want to transcend, can I transcend a crisis in an hour? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. A person can do that. We don't taught that, but you can. But additionally, like in regards to rap, and I just want to say that all the different things that are available to help people live a better lives have to be respected. We wouldn't be here without things like rap and intentional peer support and emotional CPR and the people who really lay the framework for this really radically beautiful recovery world we live in. So respect to all of those beautiful people. Additionally, I would say that Better Days is very much, as you said, pre-planning. It's basically what comes before rap. How do you figure out how to make things the way you need them to be in your life, in your relationships, so that you don't have crises? Now, have I lived a crisis perpetually for the past year? Yes. But I'm taking from that, I'm learning from it, and moving forward, which is exactly what Better Days is supposed to be. So respect to all ways of coping, all people who do what they do. And here is another way to do that with Better Days that you can actually get ahead of the system or get ahead of the situations and learn how to cope in ways that will bring about a better result on a more ongoing way and then to plan and to maintain and to keep things going is much more feasible, I think, at that moment to go forward and have more stability and maintain peace and wellness.
Okay, so I'm going to get to someone new who has not asked a question yet, because we're actually running out of time. This is a great discussion. So here's a question from someone new. How do you suggest one should tackle an employer who does not consider one's mental health and only concerned about what needs to be done, in spite of the employer stating that their mental function is not in a good place, or the employee stating that their mental function is not in a good place?
Well, it's hard to answer without having clarified if the person is working as a person who's open about the lived experience or not, because there's a different answer for each question. If it's a person who's openly working as a peer specialist, then you have to take into consideration that that the system doesn't necessarily want us here, that they have us here because basically they're funded, their funding has us include us in their programming. So that's the first thing to understand is that not everyone wants us to be working there. But secondly, because you may be working there as a peer specialist, there must be certain understandings, and take advantage of it because it's there. That again, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I just did because it's true. Use the fact that you're in a special classification and work with it. I'm not saying take advantage of it to be like manipulative, but there's things you can do to work with the people you have to work under to make this work. Is it always going to be successful? No. Is our community full of people who aren't going to be helpful? In many ways, in some roles there are. But also, I really recommend that person to reach out to me directly because I can actually give a much better answer to that, one on one.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it
if it's a
sounds like
person if it's a
yeah,
person who works
that's a
as
hard.
yeah.
I was just going to say that's a hard one to answer without knowing all the specifics around it.
Right, and
Um,
if it's a person who's not self-identified, that's a whole other story that I don't know how to speak to right now. But that person should reach out to me as well, and I'm sure I could support them in figuring that out because it's what I do, and I've done a lot of this myself in my own recovery, how to be successful at work. So yeah, please reach out if you need to or want to. Thank you.
okay, so here's someone else new. Just a comment. I really relate to what you were saying about self-harm and your cat, Max. I have four cats, and I've come to the very same conclusion. I am a mother, and they are my children, and I cannot leave them as they will not leave me. So thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I love cats so much. Cats are the most amazing thing. I love cats. I love cats. I can't wait to go. Before I leave, I'm going to go to the park and go see Max the cat. We're going to have a nice afternoon. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for saying that. Mm.
Okay, so there's a follow-up to an earlier conversation. This is the conversation about people who don't seem motivated or are very quiet or hard to get out of their shell and whatnot. Um, or maybe just don't want to talk. But uh, the comment is maybe my question about the fact that Better Days is a writing approach. A write is people have to write things down in a workbook. That might be helpful to people who have not discovered a vision yet.
Right on. I mean, listen, there's no right or wrong way to do this. If you look at the sample passage and worksheet we gave on the webinar, it's a passage. A person can read it out loud. They can read it in quiet. You can do it in group form. You can take the book home and do it there. And the person has to figure out what is it they identify with. Do they identify with the writing? Okay. Do they want to talk about it? Do they want to speak about it? Do they want to write it down? There's no right or wrong way. A person they can look through the passage and they can sometimes and I use the word deserve a lot in the passages. Some people in our community don't like the word deserve. They feel like it's been expressed to me many times. Say, Craig, I don't deserve to be happy. I don't like that word. That upsets me. So you know what we do? We just stop and we talk about that. Because you don't have to complete the passage and worksheet. Can you talk about deserve? And I'll tell you, the people in the group or the people that you're speaking with, let's take away the pressure to produce. Let's just facilitate a conversation about what works for them. Deserve? Well, what does that mean to you? Why does that word mean? Why does that get a reaction? That's a way to have a conversation to really help someone figure out for themselves. Another example is like one of the passages in the workbook. It says, I use the word how to calm yourself down when you're angry. My goodness, like when people tell me to calm down when I'm angry, I'm like, get away from me. Don't tell me that. I get even more angry. But you know why it's in the book? Because someone's going to read that in a group or with a provider or a peer supporter or whomever, and then they say, I don't like that. I can't stand it when someone says, calm down, I'm angry. So then just have the conversation. Why? Why does it bring that reaction out of you? Because, with me, in my life, I get angry because I wasn't listened to. I get angry because I was told things about me that weren't true. When people wouldn't listen to me tell the truth about me, of course I'm going to get angry. So then when I'm getting angry because I'm not being respected, and someone says, calm down, well, you see how that goes. So in the workbook, there's no right or wrong way. If someone sees a word in a passage that brings a reaction, talk about it. You can write it down. You can talk about it. You can do whatever you want because there's no right or wrong way to do it. All you have to do is do it.
Okay, so we have time for one more question, which is actually all that we have left. So all the time we have really is for one question. So the last question, crisis is often reacted to by fear responses of other people wanting to shut things down or stop the crisis, but life and living through crisis is not like that. You mentioned biting your tongue as an approach, as part of your approach. So I guess what I'm asking is what role does self-monitoring have in this Better Days approach?
Well, it's funny because the biting your tongue passages often gets a funny reaction because sometimes people think I'm saying like you should not say what you have to say in a situation to protect yourself. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you have to speak up to get your needs met, sometimes you got to do what you have to do. What I'm saying about biting your tongue is that, well, if you have an upset moment, if you're pissed off or traumatized or angry, I mean by biting your tongue is that, well, maybe I'm going to take a deep breath and think about speaking before I speak. And will I have a better result if I don't say something that might be harmful or unhelpful? Or will I have a better result if I say whatever's on my mind, which at the moment might not be so nice? I've done a lot of this, by the way, so I'm learning how to do this for myself. So um, that's what I have to do to be able to get through those moments. I support people in speaking up. Sometimes you have to speak up. Sometimes you have to yell and scream and do whatever you have to do. I respect people for doing that, but I want to see people have better lives. I want to have a better life, man. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want to have all the beautiful things in the world. Love, happiness, success. I want everyone else to have that too. I want all people to have that. I don't care about what happened in the past. I don't care what happened yesterday. What can you do right now? What can I do right now? What I can do right now is say, I can make this happen for myself by choosing to go forward and do things in a different way, and choosing to make better choices, and choosing to do introspective self-examination of what works, what doesn't work. Asking myself, what would my life look like if things were, you know, more smooth, or if there was less disruption and more peace? What would my life look like? And you can have this question in a group form. You can ask somebody if you're in therapy or with a peer supporter or one-on-one. A person can do it with themselves as well because this is workbook. Anyone can do it any way they want, but that's the bottom line. What works for you? You identify that. What doesn't work for you? You identify that. You ask yourself, what would my life look like? You envision, you visualize. What would life look like if I had more peace and success and less disruption? You come up with some ideas of how to do that. What could they be? They could be anything. There's no wrong answer. Make the best decision you can to benefit yourself, but just trust yourself to do that. And then why? You already know why. Because you want to have a better life. If you didn't, you wouldn't be doing this work. You wouldn't be taking the step to help yourself. So the fact that anyone is doing anything to help himself is to be respected and honored. And I thank you all for these beautiful questions. And I thank you all for engaging in this wonderful way. You have all helped me feel beautiful about myself today. And I want to give that back to all of you. So thank you so much. Thank you.
And we've come to the end of our time, so I wanted to thank you again, Craig, for a wonderful presentation. And if you are interested in Better Days, please contact Craig directly at betterdaysrecovery@gmail.com. You can also visit the website, betterdaysrecovery.com. So thank you for participating and making this a great webinar. Again, this webinar will be archived and available on the National Empowerment Center website. So have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.